Center after testing negative for COVID-19. It could be recalled that he tested positive on 24th of March and was quarantined for medication.
Allah will not lay a burden on his servant that he will not have the power to carry. I thank him for freeing me and freeing many others. And may he also free our brothers and sisters in Bauchi and other places to the benefit of humanity.
It's been a
but still on COVID-19. The National Assembly engagement with critical government organizations on the containment of COVID-19 continued with the Presidential Task Force on Containment of the Virus. At the meeting, President of the Senate, Ahmad Lawan, stressed the need for a single centralized account for all COVID-19 funds to be managed by separate body. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwa reports.
3-day painstaking engagement between the two arms of government against the scourge of COVID-19. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, stressed accountability and transparency in the management of all COVID-19 funds. His fear was allayed by the chairman of the Presidential Committee, Boss Mustafa.
Under a certain platform, one platform, not every organization is running its own show. There could be duplication. Working at cross purposes, at the end of the day, there will certainly not be efficiency.
We run a constitutional democracy that provides an essential ingredient called checks and balances.
The PTF would not be directly involved in the collection and disbursement of cash donations for COVID-19. The Accountant General of the Federation has already published the account details for collection.
The task force demanded some legislations to contain the virus and put in place preventive measures in the future.
And that some who are positive disappeared from view, and we are not sure how we are going to be able to actually account for the transmission that goes on.
The legislators observed the need for hazard allowance for frontline health workers and for publication of names, bank verification numbers, and pictures of vulnerable Nigerians who benefited from the palliatives. The Presidential Task Force explained that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is addressing the plight of Nigerians in China as moves to bring back Nigerians who wish to return from other countries is ongoing. The arrival of the Chinese medical personnel into Nigeria and need to monitor their 14 days quarantine period also came to the fore. Minister of Information and Culture Alhaji Lai Mohammed advised Nigerians to guard against fake news on COVID-19, describing the story of alleged spending of 1 billion naira on SMS by NCDC as one of such unrealistic stories.
We are taking adequate measures, but I want to see the opportunity to thank Facebook, because the agreement between us and Facebook is that once we flag that kind of story, Facebook removes it or we stamp it fake news. It's not that the civil servant just showed me now that particular thing has been stamped fake news.
This is the 5th meeting involving the leadership of the National Assembly and government organizations on the measures to contain the virus. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
The Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says the federal government is increasing measures in curbing the spread of COVID-19 in the country and wants government in states, especially those that share border with neighboring countries, to be proactive in tracing cases. The minister disclosed this on NTA's Good Morning Nigeria this Friday, explaining that efforts on containment and mitigation by the federal government remain on course. Lai Mohammed stressed that every stakeholder must play his part to end the pandemic in Nigeria.
For prevention, you need the cooperation of the populace. They need to listen to what the government is saying, especially through their various agencies like the Port Health, the Center for Disease Control, the Ministry of Health. And here is where we need especially the support of the state governors. They need to be proactive. They don't need to wait for the surge to come. They must prepare and work with the various health authorities, especially the port health, immigrations, and others at our land borders.
The ground on the Chinese assistance to Nigeria in the fight against COVID-19 said there are measures to increase the number of bed spaces for isolation of suspected cases in addition to existing facilities, with Lagos State already in the forefront.
Today, if you have the resources, you have the funds, those equipments are not available. South Korea has banned the exportation of anything that has to do with containment of COVID-19. There's a proverb that says that when somebody offers you a medicine as a cure for the ailment, you ask him 3 questions. Have you ever suffered that ailment before? When you did you use this drug? When did it work? And this is exactly what we see in the case of the Chinese. But they are not coming to treat Nigerian patients. They are coming to help us even build our own capacity.
Mohammed added that Nigeria now has fewer cases of COVID-19 from returning travelers and wants citizens to obey the social distancing practice. Lagos residents have been advised to adhere strictly to federal and Lagos state government's directive towards containing the spread of coronavirus in the state. Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Benga Omotosho, met the call at an interministerial press briefing on COVID-19 update at Alausa. Nosa Osla reports.
State, which is the epicenter for the COVID-19 outbreak in the country, has a total number of 145 confirmed cases. According to the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, all hands must be on deck to support both the federal and state governments in the fight against the pandemic. Omotosho, who briefed the media, alongside the Commissioners for Health, the Environment, Finance, Education, Youth and Social Development, Agriculture, Local Government and Community Affairs, Economic Planning and Budget, Home Affairs, and the Special Advisor to the Governor on Civic Engagement during the briefing on the activities of the state on COVID-19, urged residents to maintain social distancing, high level of personal hygiene, and be observant of the preventive measures on the awareness programs by the governments.
It is for us to tell Lagosians the journey so far and to give them hope that all is not lost, that after coronavirus, there will be life.
Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi, gave insight on how Lagos State has been preparing for an emergency like COVID-19 in the past 5 years after the Ebola outbreak. He made it known to the public that patients who die of the coronavirus were also agents of transmission and so could not be buried like other people who died a normal death.
The outbreak is seemingly under control in Lagos. If it was out of control, we would be seeing increasing numbers of cases on a daily basis.
Several local governments, they have been doing a lot of fumigations across the nitty-gritty of the inner streets.
Commissioner for Economic Planning and Budget urged residents to spend wisely as the pandemic has affected the country's economy. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
It's now time for a break. NTA Panorama News continues shortly.
Coronavirus is real. Steps to avoid this pandemic. Wash your hands regularly or sanitize your hands. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Stay at home unless absolutely necessary. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth if your hands are not clean. Avoid the spread of coronavirus. Coronavirus is real.
Coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, has been declared by the World Health Organization as a global pandemic. While clinical trials are ongoing for a vaccine and a possible cure, there is no known treatment for the coronavirus. Nigeria has recorded some of these cases, and people are advised to take these preventive measures to keep themselves safe and contain the further spread of the virus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water, or use hand sanitizers all the time. Maintain social distancing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice respiratory hygiene. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Do not panic. Stop the spread of unconfirmed news. Follow the official government news outlets and report all cases immediately. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
Thanks for staying with us. Joining me now live via Skype is Dr. Osawaru Okunzwa, a public affairs analyst. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Good afternoon.
All right, Doctor, let me start on this note. It might sound funny. If I say there are positive sides to the advent of coronavirus, will I be right?
Pragmatically, morally, no. Nobody pays for a tragedy. But already we are enjoying it, and we are going to worry some lessons from what is befalling the whole wide world. So to that extent, maybe yes, if we are studious enough, we are able to speak some items that will serve us in the future.
All right. What is your assessment of government's approach to tackling the virus in Nigeria?
Well, it's very clear the government is very responsive. There's confusion all over the world, and slowly now people are coming to see what's happening. And I think a lot of mastery is being shown in our own part of the world. So I think any citizen is being observant to have a lot to be proud of. Of course, there's still a lot to be done, a lot of lessons to be learned and prepared for. So I think we need to support all our neighbors, all our family members, all our friends, and of course all the government institutions to make sure collectively we are able to fight this battle of war and win it without having too many scars on our body.
Okay, now let's talk about something that a lot of Nigerians are debating on. Some Nigerians are skeptical about bringing Chinese doctors into the country to assist the country in tackling coronavirus. What is your view about this? I'm asking, how advantageous is this?
All sides are right, all sides have a point, and the good compromise has been found. That is my own take on the matter. We have a lot of doctors who are unemployed or even employed at all. So the number coming from the Republic of China, quite few, just about a dozen or so. It doesn't quite just drop in the bucket. But the principle is established that if we have enough, we don't need from outside. But because of the expertise, the Chinese have also demonstrated in handling the coronavirus. After all, that was the virus that first of all erupted. They may have a thing or two to also tell us. But I think a very safe mean has been found. The opinion of those who are opposed will be taken into consideration, and of course the government has the right to pursue the welfare of all its citizens, also taking adequate safeguards to make sure we have the benefits and also lessen the cost. I think we are on course.
Okay, presently, the challenge staring the government in the eye now is how to prevent community infection. How can this be achieved?
But there's already a lot of emphasis on particular personal hygiene and social distancing. We need to keep emphasizing that and keep persuading people that want to practice things. They have to keep observing it for their own safety and the safety of their friends and neighbors and family. So we have to keep emphasizing that message until we are out of the woods. There is no other way about it, because if there is no transmitter, there won't be a recipient. And of course, if there is a transmitter, there is no recipient, there won't be a transmission. So I think the principle we have to maintain.
Okay, government has put down measures on ground to contain the spread of COVID-19. Looking at the lockdown, which is one of the measures in states, how effective has this been in checkmating the virus?
It's going to be difficult to know in the interim. There's so far so good. I think it's working. It's only at the end of the day, when you are looking back, you go to know what has worked well or what has not worked well. But for as long as it's related to social distancing and physical separation, I think it makes a lot of sense, and we should keep observing it.
Okay, just like the issue of the Chinese doctors, there's also a lot of debate among people whether government should extend the lockdown or it should end after 14 days. Will you recommend an extension?
Our extension will be called for if necessary. Of course, lockdown or reopening, it's not going to be a kind of light switch that we turn on and turn off. It's going to be a gradual thing. People should study different parts of the country, those areas that are affected, so that they will receive attention, those areas that are being relieved, and open those areas up. So that's going to be, Nigeria is a very vast country, so maybe one measure cannot apply to all of it.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Osarua Okunzua, for joining us on Panorama. All right. Commission NBC has joined forces with government, humanitarian bodies and individuals in the fight against the coronavirus pandemic. Adeola Komiakere reports that the commission donated safety kits to staff of Laspotec FM Lagos to help prevent COVID-19.
Since the outbreak of the deadly coronavirus, media organizations, including the Nigerian Television Authority, have been in the forefront of sensitizing Nigerians on the dangers of the virus and the preventive measures to take. To ensure safety of media workers whose services are essential, the Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission has directed that community stations will receive preventive kits to protect persons on duty. Kits were also presented to the management of the Lagos State Polytechnic Radio in Ikorodu. The National Broadcasting team was conducted round the institution's FM station, and they were interviewed live on radio.
We don't have much radio stations or broadcast stations here in Ikorodu, and they are not just enlightening the polytechnic community, but the Ikorodu as a community. They are playing that wonderful role. That is why we choose them, because the donation was specific to community broadcast stations.
We have a role and responsibility to play in terms of trying to sensitize our people. Everybody is involved in this warfare. And so it's a warfare that can only win by information.
Meanwhile, it was observed that the people of Ikorodu, where the radio station is located, are adhering to the stay-at-home order as the roads were devoid of the usual vehicular traffic, except areas where there was the sale of perishable items. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakere, NTA News.
On a cheering note now, President Muhammadu Buhari has felicitated with Christians as well as all Nigerians on the celebration of Easter. In a statement, the president noted that the celebration, which comes amid the grip with which the virus has held the entire world, is unprecedented in the memory of mankind, and enjoined Christians to rekindle their faith in Christ. The president urged the Christians to imbibe the virtues of humility, discipline, perseverance, sacrifice, and obedience, which Jesus Christ demonstrated during his stay on earth. He commended the collaborative efforts of stakeholders in confronting COVID-19 with strong conviction that this will put the nation through. Now, the federal government has promised to take more decisive and proactive measures to towards ensuring that the Boko Haram menace in parts of the country is totally eliminated for sustainable peace and development. President Muhammadu Buhari gave the assurance during a strategic engagement with the governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umara Zulum, on the prevailing security situation following Chadian military operations on the fringes of Lake Chad. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
Babagana Umara Zulum was in the State House to brief the president on the recent military action against Boko Haram by Chad Republic on the shores of Lake Chad and its implications on Nigeria's national security. Chad was responding to the killing of nearly 100 of its soldiers by the insurgents. President Muhammadu Buhari and Governor Zulum, after critically analyzing the situation, expressed the belief that time has come to once and for all put to an end the senseless acts of terror by Boko Haram and other criminal elements operating in the region.
Honestly speaking, we are apprehensive because of the ongoing operations by the Chadians. Right now, most of the Boko Haram are fleeing the shores of the Lake Chad, the areas of the Chad Republic, and they are now coming to the northern Borno State and then to southern Borno State. And there's need for us to now provide some counter-insurgency attacks.
So what did the president tell you?
This is the right time that the government of Nigeria under his leadership will do everything possible to support the MNJTF and others to be proactive enough to contain the situation, to deal with them decisively with a view to ending the crisis, so that they shouldn't occupy some other areas in the northern states as well as in the Sambisa Reserve.
The governor of Borno State also briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on his administration's efforts at containing the coronavirus pandemic.
My deputy governor, who is the chairman of the coronavirus pandemic committee, is doing very well. We have stopped vehicular movement into Maiduguri, but passengers are good, unless if and only if such movements are very necessary. Our indigents coming from abroad, we stop them from coming, and if they must come, I think we are taking them straight to the isolation centers. We have huge number of IDP camps. We have taken some measures, including frequent checkings and then testings and so on.
So far, Borno State has not recorded any case of COVID-19. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Up next is Sports Update with Kene Emagbodike as our guide.